we have a special lecture. And this is a video from Chairman Park Han-gil. And this is well-balanced life and life scenario. And also, and there are many lessons in this video and in this lecture. And if you have the life scenario book, please take out your life scenario book. Okay, I see some of you. Thank you. And please write life scenario. And if you have it from last month, please develop and update your life scenario. If you're ready, please write your life scenario book. And let's take a look at the video from Park Han-gil, Chairman, Well-Balanced Life. Nowadays, people say things like if you only follow the Atomy's principles and you will be successful. And many associations that are in charge of different regulations, they all say this as well. And although the company is doing that, the bigger question is, what will you do? We hope that you have to be very disciplined to be successful. You need to know what is necessary. There was a man by a name called Andrew Carnegie. And despite a poor childhood, he became very rich and successful. And also, while looking back on his life, Carnegie began to ask himself whether he had succeeded by luck or whether he would still have become successful if he had been born again into the same poverty. And he thought, and he concluded that he would have become successful no matter what the circumstances. The situation and the circumstance is not important, and passion and the willingness and the lifestyle patterns is more important than the situation that was given. And I'll tell you the details. He realized that most people simply didn't know the ways, laws of success. It means that there is a law to be succeeded. Here is the example. A to B, there is C. Every time you added A to B, your result becomes a C. We want to call this law. The Carnegie already knew the law that allowed him to be rich and successful. No one had invented, and this was the pre-existing model, and this is true North principle. It states that North is already predetermined, is already decided and existed. We even call this principle as the laws of nature. The sun will always rise, and water will always flow down from the high point to the low point. We call this the law of farming. The farmer prepares to harvest, and he or she has to follow the laws of nature. He or she carefully follows the nature and the law, then he or she can be successful. The first thing is, what do they have to do? And they are going to have different answers. Others might argue that they need money, they need land, they need time. However, the first thing the farmer needs to do is this: how much that you're going to harvest. That's the first thing the farmer has to picture in the person's head. The person must decide how much crops that they want to take. And without the picturing, That will never happen. And the decision has to be 2 bags, or 5 bags, or 10 bags. And you have to envision, and according to the setting and the blueprint, he or she can work to harvest. And this is very similar to laws of success. And if you want to be successful, what do you have to do? First, you have to have the blueprint that you already made it. You already became successful. And you have to view yourself. This is called the self-image. And how are you going to make that? Just like how the farmer's decision on harvest. And based on that, everything will change. You have to envision what your life is going to be and how you have to do. Unless this picture and the image, nothing will happen. At present, you might not like the life that you have. And 3 to 5 years ago, you envisioned that. Or you didn't have any plans. And if you don't have the image of successful being yourself, and after 3 to 5 years, you will still be the same. And that's why you need to make a clear image of yourself and the direction and the ways that you should have as clearly and vividly as you possibly can. Now comes a question of exactly what to envision. You might feel a little confused right now because we are complicated creatures. We, as human beings, we all have the physical body called flesh. We have spirits, and we have soul, and additionally, we don't live alone, we have environments. And the needs of these 4 categories are completely different. Moreover, we have to live by satisfying all of them. We usually refer to this as desire. Flesh desires to live a long and healthy life. And you don't want to live a long and healthy life while being poor. And what's the point? The flesh also desires a luxurious life. This means success. Live well. Spirit is one of the most important things that separates us from the animals. Animals have a soul, but no spirit. What is a spirit? Human beings have a sense of time, and the conscience is a part of the spirit. Animals don't have conscience, only humans do. Imagine that the neighbor's dog bit the master, and do you think the dog will feel guilty and regret biting his owner? No, that doesn't happen. But at the same time, we, human beings, feel the moment. At the moment, we feel the guilty, and feeling of guilty, we also desire to love and to be loved. And this is because humans are spiritual beings. And intellectual curiosity and poor education is a bitter pill to swallow, even in well-to-do people. And the soul includes all the emotions, happiness, sadness, joy, and anger. We have the ability to feel and sense, and we want to live peacefully. And we want to be in a peaceful state of mind. Animals have feelings too. A dog wags its tail to the owner. It means that the dog is happy. You don't want to interrupt the dog during a meal. And Dogs also possess things and want to possess more things. Animals also have a soul. And I want to say, this is learn. And environment, the last one, we want to contribute to today's society. And we have 4 categories. We have to satisfy all these categories. And we want to have the desire. We want to have that passion. And before the end of your life, you rethink and reminisce what you had, what you felt, what you did in life. And you will be satisfied if you live a well-balanced life. In short, we want to contribute in life. You have to imagine yourself living a life in which all 4 categories are satisfied. You have to picture in this mind. And without these, you're not a true leader in today's society. And all of these are connected. And we say that we need to live well. We only focus on one aspect. If you live well, then what's the point? Why do we need to live well? Because we have loved ones. Think about your loved ones. And, for example, parents cannot bear to see their children have suffered. That's true. And they want to die knowing their children are doing well in the society and in healthy life. And another purpose is that we have loved ones, for example, family members. And most people in our generation worked and worked all their lives just to be able to have one house. People say that in the future, it will be even more difficult for our children to have a house. In my generation, at least we had hope. We hoped that if we studied, worked hard, and we have a chance to live well. However, this generation had the hope, but the next generation, they feel hopeless. And my point is that as parents, we have to become their hope. Just for the pure joy of giving, we must all become rich and successful. Imagine yourself telling your kids that do all the activities that you want to. Please do not worry about making money. Can you imagine how wonderful that would feel and become? When you're rich, you have enough money to buy a house for your kids. If you don't live well, love becomes difficult as well. I was so in love with my wife before we got married. And finally, we got married. I opened an online shopping mall a long time ago, and the business was really tough, and my family and I had to move to a small apartment. To make matters worse, my health went downhill from that, and my wife got a job making around $1,500 every single month. And we barely had enough food and money. We lived in this financial situation, and my wife and I started talking to each other less and less. It was to the point we had more arguments. One day I came home to a freezing house. I said to her, "Why don't you increase the heater?" She replied, "Do you think I can't tell it is cold?" She sounded angry, and she was saying that she was also cold. But she was doing that to save money. If you spend around $100 on gas, that would be better. But at the same time, we didn't have enough money. So in order to save us $50 a month, that's why we were living in that condition and in a freezing house. So I calculated the 3 years to save $750. And I'm pretty upset by that. You should never save when you're poor. Just spend all the money that you have. And many people have a lot of wrong ideas and perceptions about money. In school, you learn that expense and the budget based on your income. This is actually only applies to government spending. In personal finances, few wealthy people worry about spending based on their income. They're the people who keep a household ledger. And have you seen rich people with writing ledger? And the rich never do. Only poor people do that. And this is the next point I want to say, which is that if you have enough money, then you don't need to write any ledger about your financial situation or the budget that you have. Please do not do that. How do you become rich? Just forget about your earnings. Determine your expenses first. Think about how much you're going to spend and what you're going to spend on. When you organize the expense, you will be surprised. You need to have a steady monthly income of $30,000 to $50,000 a month. If you really want to consider yourself rich, then that's the money that you need. And some people don't believe that. They believe the idea of making $30,000 to $50,000 a month. You cannot achieve anything when you live a paycheck to paycheck life. And most people have a goal making $3,000 to $7,000. But at the same time, they can't be successful. In reality, you should not envy them all. That job will not guarantee a good and safe retirement. You need to make at least $30,000 to $50,000. In addition, you cannot work for the money for the entire life. And this is the picture of opportunities. It means that when you're in 20s and 30s, you can easily be hired as a server. However, when you're in your 40s and 50s, they don't want customers to see you, so you're sent to the back to work in the kitchen. And in your 50s and 60s, they worry you might break and dishes and let you go. Unless you have connections, you're out of job. Opportunities begin to disappear with age. Unfortunately, most people chase the illusion. And someday in their future, luck will come eventually. It will not happen. You have to change your life right now. There are always opportunities and chances for earning money and spending money. You might think spending money is easy. Try going on a trip as an elderly person. You're exactly physically fit to do a lot of sightseeing. And this is how the person will walk. And also, you have to be young to taste some of the food. And this, a lot of you will agree. And your chances are quickly disappearing. And you need to make all the money you require within a short period. Then spend the money for the rest of your life. And don't spend all your youth making money and save your money. And you can't even spend the money that you have. And you don't have that long of a window for money making. And make all the money from 3 to 5 years, then you have to spend. And if you can't do it 3 to 5 years, then quit the job. And if you do Atomy business 3 to 5 years and you don't become successful, stop working. And did I really give it my best try? You have to question yourself. If you want to live in style, you need $30,000 to $50,000. For example, you need to support your parents to do more filial duty. You shouldn't just give them pocket money. They need more money than you. You have to give them at least $2,000 a month so they can buy things and eat food and also spend money for medical expenses. So then, we need the money to love, and that's why we have to be successful. And my lovely wife was worried about $50 a month, and she told me seriously that I have to leave you after our kids' graduation. And after I heard that, I was completely crushed, and I was disappointed at myself, and I cried my heart out. I said, wailing, "You cannot leave me, and you don't have a house or any fund to be retired. And even when you go, you must need a house. And please let me put some cash and just wait for me then. Then you can leave." And she told me, when? In a million years. Now, about her house and give a lot of money, but she won't tell me when she's leaving. What I'm saying is, to love well, you need to live well. All these elements for success are intertwined and connected. As a matter of fact, we make money to give to others. Most people experience a lot, and we feel happiness when we are giving instead of taking. And if you haven't experienced, you will experience that when you give. And you can feel in your bones the pleasure of giving instead of taking. The giving should start near you and spread outwards from there. Now, some people who say that they will start giving once they become more well-to-do, and they never help the poor. So when should we start? We have to do it now. You have to start from today. And Atomy has been involved in charity work for a long time now, in many years. During the humble beginnings of Atomy, we reached out on elementary school, and we gave $200 to $400 a month. Since then, we have greatly, and this is the pictures that we have been helping.
The Atomy business itself is actually the ideal way of helping others. We provide great quality necessities at a very best price to the ordinary people so that they can save more money. And this is the first step to contributing to those in need. So this is what we do. Secondly, we provide job opportunities to the people who might have fallen for a lot of times. So our profit goes back to the people in form of compensation. So no matter what, we must live well because we have the loved ones. This is the way to let the loved ones to live well too. So human psychology is that we gain confidence as we improve just by little. I'm well aware that some of you here You have a dream, but you're scared of it. You're terrified of having hopes and dreams. Having hopes and dreams can be a very scary thing. Why? Because I used to live a very comfortable life too. To be honest, I actually look down on poor people. I used to think that their poverty is due to their laziness and also their incorrect ways of thinking. So I looked down on them. But after that, when I become ill and my business went down, I lost all my money and I'm deeply in debt. So I lying sick in bed. And suddenly I realized that everyone can be failing. And the dire situation could happen to anyone. So I shouldn't look down on the poor. But as I was going through such a painful time, and I become so despair, I became so scared of having hope because I am living in despair. Then I read a book, and there is a sentence in it saying that when you are hopeless, the best thing to do is to have hope. You must have hope when you feel desperate. If you can't even have hope, your life was just a failure. So as long as you find hope, you still have the chance to success. So when I saw a light of hope at the end of the tunnel, it looked so far and so weak because I'm very sick, right? And I have no money. And I don't even know how long I'm going to live. But still, I don't have another choice but to walk towards the lights because I had people that I loved. So I did my best to pull myself together, and I gradually walked towards the light. That flickering light slowly became bigger and brighter. So if you don't run towards the lights, it will never become brighter. The light grew blinding, and I saw that I was out of the cave, and the whole world outside was filled with light and hope. So I was able to walk into a world that is full of love and hope. I know how hard it is to have courage, and I know that it's hard to dream. It's very scary, but courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to conquer the fear even when you feel afraid. So I hope every one of you can listen to me, that when you feel hopeless and you feel like you're totally broken, you must hold on to hope and keep taking steps closer and closer towards that hope. And as the light of hope begins to grow, you can come out of the darkness, and even you can share the hope to the people around you. For ourselves, for the people we love, we have to live well, and in order to do that, we have to learn. So that's why you guys are here, learning, right? So I'm asking you to picture yourself living well and to share the love and contribute to the society. And only when you have built that image of yourself, the successful you will appear in the near future. If you have that image, is that really enough? Yes, because our body cannot distinguish whether we are imagining things or actually experience those phenomena. So if you start building images in your head, your body will start to change. So let me explain exactly what I'm talking about. So just imagine that I'm feeding you with a handful of a very sweet pomegranate seeds. As you start popping up these fruits, the juice will just burst in your mouth. So now what happened? Raise your hand if you don't salivate. You have to see a doctor because your salivary glands might not be working. So our bodies will have the same reaction, whether they are actually experiencing the reality or if the experience exists only in our heads. This is proven scientifically. This is called a self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that a strong belief can make your expectation actually come true and also change your physical body. So when you start believing that I will start this business and I will make 30K to 50K a month in the very near future, then it's just a matter of time. This will definitely happen. And have that clear, successful picture of yourself in your head, you will change. Your eyes will be brighter. The way you walk, the way you talk, it will change. When you call your friends or to your families, don't tell them in a very embarrassed way. You should say, hey, I just found a business where you can earn 550K a month. So this is not easy. It's very extraordinary. You have to have a very big factory and you have 1,000 of employees to work around the clocks in order to earn such a big amount of money. So why don't you think that big business is success, but Atomy, because we don't need you to have capital, then you think that Atomy is small. No, it's not at all. The Atomy business is a big business. And if you don't take us seriously, just because we don't recruit like professionals, and you think that we are ordinary work, no, you're wrong. You are starting a very remarkable business. You should be happy and you should be hopeful sitting here. So when you call your friends, you should say, come quickly. And he'll ask, why? So I found a legit business. If you're interested, just come. Or else I'll just call somebody else. So just come over. I will not wait you for a long time. So you should have this kind of confidence. Because this thing is huge. If you don't join me now, you will be in the bottom. So can't you see the difference? So your voice have to be loud and confident in order to convince them. If you will have such a voice, if you do believe that you can earn 30K to 50K every month. So when I first started Atomy, there was only 17 participants in the first seminar. And that day, I spent 5 to 6 hours giving them speech. And I promised them if they became a crown master, I would give them a car and also a prize in cash. So that's what I've promised them. And also, if they became an imperial master, I will give out a reward of $1 million in cash with a brand new luxury limousine. I will even cover the whole office floor with the finest carpet. So I gave them my promise. But at that time, I was just driving a second-hand car, which only worth 2.8K. And I told them I'm going to give them a luxury car. So any person smart enough would say, mind your own business. But it seems like my big speech really did work because everyone there was just trusting me and became successful in the end. So you cannot achieve success with a rational thought. You must go crazy. You have to be crazy enough to reach your goal. So everyone repeat with me. Go crazy enough to reach our goal. So tonight you're going to write a life scenario. The life you want to live as if it were a movie. So we have provided you with a booklet called Life Scenario, right? So in the template, you will see something like this. It's like a wheel. So you have to write down all these 4 elements at least once in these spaces. So if you want to live a balanced life, you have to live well. So living well means to be financially comfortable. So you can write down house here because it's a big concern for a lot of people. And you can write down health and also car because this is a must these days. For love, you can write down filial duties. For learning, you can write down education of your children and also traveling. So we must travel, right? So you can decide on what you want to write down. And now you score yourself. So you probably have an ideal home in your mind. It could be a 180 feet home. So if you cannot fulfill that goal, now you can mark yourself like 40 points or 70 points. If you're not happy with your car because you're not driving a Mercedes, instead you're just driving a very old Sonata and you're very unhappy about it. And also, if you are not treating your parents well enough and you hardly ever volunteered and you don't have much cash and the last time you travel is in your honeymoon. So after scoring yourself, just link all the dots and this is your wheel of life. If it's small and crooked, which means that your life is not rolling very well. But if you want these elements to receive a perfect score, that your wheel of life will be big and round to roll smoothly, so you have to write down all the details in these boxes. So you have to write it down, your goals. So when you write, you must be specific with all the details. So, what is your dream house? Someone may answer, a nice house. So, like, if you're going to tell a realtor that you're looking for a nice house, do you think that they will really take you seriously? No, of course not. You have to be specific in terms of the room, the house you want. Like, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how big it is. Like, what is the price of it? So the more detail you write it, the best it is. So write down the cost. So someone said they want to drive a Ferrari, but they don't even know the price of a car. So if you want a luxury car, you should at least know the price. And third, come up with some solid deadlines. So if you want to say, I want to live in a large house, but by when? Do you really think you can just say someday? If that's your attitude, you'll never have it. So be specific about what you want, like for in 3, 5, or 7 years, and make sure you apply all these conditions. So here's an example. So this person wrote down, currently I'm living in a poor house, but by 2022, I'm going to move in a luxury apartment. So can you see how detailed it is? So once that image of your living that enters your head, then your behavior, your actions, your speech, and your facial expressions will all change. So you will have the energy to make it a reality. Therefore, you need to create a movie in your mind about the life you want to live, and you have to live inside of it. If you keep living inside in the movie, then your reality will shift to the level that your dreams are. So this is the end of my lecture today. Thank you for listening.
구독, 좋아요 눌러주세요.